Hey everyone, it's Patty from PS Paper Crafts, and this week I am featuring this Subtle Dynamic Textured Impressions Embossing folder. This is one of those 3D folders. It's very thick, um, so it's pretty stiff. It's one that you only need one plate with. So I've been making different projects using this week, and if you looked at the catalog, you would probably say it doesn't look like anything. And I'm hoping you can see it's a very light texture. This is the results of it. It almost looks like linen, like the old textured cardstock you would get. So we're going to make this card, but we're going to make it a birthday card, a masculine birthday card. I realize that the praying for you, the sentiments that I use are in a set that's old and not current catalog. It's one of my favorites, and I hate to see it go, so I do use it a lot. It's called Thoughts and Prayers. You may have it. It's a good card for that. And I just want to show you a couple of Christmas tags that I made with this. Let me just grab them. They were on my blog yesterday, so you could see, I hope you can see the texture. Maybe from the back you can see it. So it just adds a little bit different, a little more interest to it. So you can look at my blog if you want to see how I made these yesterday. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do, we have Crumb Cake and Early Espresso Aura Colors, and then Whisper White. The layer that we're going to use with the embossing folder is the Crumb Cake, and that's just a normal 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to, you can do it this way or this way, and I had decided I would wanted to do it this way. And I'm just going to put it right in the center of this. And let me get my Big Shot out. Now with this kind of folder, as I said, you just need the one plate. So you're going to open up your tab. So you're on tab 1. Hopefully this is all in, and I'm going to put this down. It looks like it's shifted, and you could use this line as a guide too to make sure it's straight. So let me just do it this way. That might make sense. So put it in here, get it on the line, close her up, and then we're going to put it, I like to have the fold go in first, and then we'll put the plate over it, and we'll just run it right through. You only have to run it through once. You can go back and forth if you wanted to, but once should do it. So let's get this out of the way. I love embossing folders because they really are so easy, but they give you a lot of bang for the buck, I think. So you can see it's now textured. There's a embossed and a debossed side, and I'm going to use this side. And then we're going to stamp the tree on this. Now the tree is from the Rooted in Nature set. It's kind of like Lovely as a Tree. I think it's one of my favorite sets, and this tree is just gorgeous. This one is gorgeous, the leaves. I love everything about this set. So you get 2 cases of stamps for the one Rooted in Nature stamp set. So I have that mounted, and the way I did the green and the brown is using markers instead of the ink pad. And let me just tell you, so this is 4 by 2 3/4, and then this one I went up 1/8. So this is 4 1/8 by 3 7/8 to get it just so. And I didn't think I needed ribbon or gems or anything like that. It's a masculine looking card. And I think the textured layer here gives it enough interest. So let's get our stamp before I continue rambling on here. I'm using chocolate chip. I don't have Early Espresso. I have it on order. That's what I would use to match the paper. So when I get it in, I'll make it again with the Early Espresso. But I would say a dark brown color. And what I'm doing is, I don't know if you can see, there are branches in here, so I'm just going to mark, and that's why I'm doing it this way. I want the brown and the green. And you can see there's branches throughout it, and if you tilt it to the side, you can see them better. So I'm just going to go through and kind of color the branches with the brown, and then I'm going to color the rest of the tree with garden green. So let's see. Some of them are a little bit hard to see, and it probably doesn't matter if you get them all or you don't. It just gives it a little bit more, you know, realistic look for the tree. I like the way it came out. I really wasn't sure, but you know what? You try it, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, you turn over your cardstock and you stamp it again differently. That's the beauty of it. Two sides. So I think that's probably good enough. Let me just give a little more on here. And then I'm going to get my garden green marker, and I'm using on both of them, I'm using the side that's the brush side. That's a thicker side. So I'm just going to color, and I'm going to try to go around the brown. Some areas it's easy to just kind of go fast, and then when you get close to the brown, just slow it up and try to, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I always say nature is beautiful, and it is perfect, but maybe not the way we would draw it, right? So I think that God made it perfect, but if we were to draw it, we'd be more straight, and I don't know. Again, I'm rambling. But this really, it's so nice when you have the markers, because you can just color on your stamp and get different colors if you wanted to do darker shades in a flower or something like that. Now I just have to tell you that these are the regular Stampin' Write markers. They are not the alcohol, the Stampin' Blends. You don't want to color your stamps with them. They may dry it out a little bit because they are alcohol based. So these are the water based, the old-fashioned ones. The other ones, the Stampin' Blends, are great for coloring your stamped items. You can color your pearls, your rhinestones, ribbon. I mean, it's really a great marker, but it's for different purposes. So you just have to make sure you're grabbing your right marker for the right purpose. And if you happen to go over the brown, you could just color it back in before you stamp it. So it kind of looks a little messy, but I think you'll like the results. I'm always surprised. I know that sounds a little weird, but the way things turn out, sometimes better than I expected. So let's just finish her up. I just want to make sure I got around the edges good. And we're going to breathe on this a little bit just to moisten it up. Looks pretty good. I think I'm going to just go in a little bit more with the brown, just to get some areas. And you see there's some holes. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. So when you stamp it, don't think you missed something. And if you did, just think it's probably a new hole that you made. See, it's all throughout. Okay. So now we're going to, let me just cap this so I don't get it on anything. Now we're going to just breathe on it or huff on it. I'm going to line this up. And I'm going to do it over a bit to the left here so I can get my sentiment. Isn't that gorgeous? It looks so natural. Okay, now I'm going to do Happy Birthday, and I'm going to do this in the early espresso. And I'm getting this from the Perennial Birthday. I'm using this Happy Birthday, and then I'm going to use the Here's to Celebrating You on the inside. So again, this would be a great guy card. And I'm just going to test this out to see if it's straight. Oh, I did it. Let's try this again. And I try to line it up the bottom on the grid line, and then I can see if it's straight or crooked. So it looks a little bit down. So I'm going to go a little bit up. Hope that makes sense. So let's put this on. Well, I guess I went up a little bit too much, but I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Okay, and let's do the inside while we have this out. And I'm going to put that aside. And on the inside, I'm going to, in Garden Green, I'm going to stamp, I'm going to do what I did here. I just did the leaves and I stamped them, and then I stamped them again without re-inking, just to give it a little more texture here. So I'm going to just lift it, twist it a little bit, so you see you have two different shades of the same color. And then on the inside, I will do also in brown, Early Espresso. I'm going to do this, here's to celebrating you. And let me make it a little bit straighter here. So, I love the red rubber stamps, but sometimes it's hard to see how to make them straight if they're a little bumpy. Okay, I think that came out well. So let's put this away, and then we can start putting our card together. Now, if you've ever watched me before, you know that I like to put the liquid glue when I'm doing embossed layers. So let's see which side. I think I'm going to go with this side. So I like to, because there's a lot of bumps to it, I like to just use the liquid glue and make sure that it adheres well. Sometimes when something, and this is not very bumpy, it's pretty, you know, it's the embossing is not that deep, so it's not too bad. But if you get something that's very deep, you want to make sure that you're getting your adhesive in and out of all the right places. So I'm going to adhere this also to the smaller layer, also with the liquid glue, and we're just going to line this up. The other thing about the liquid glue is it does give you a little bit of time just to make sure it's straight. Okay, let's put this cap on, and then I'm going to adhere this with some dimensionals. So I'll just put one in each corner and one in the middle, so the middle is strong and doesn't sag at all. So we'll just take the backing off of these. And this is a pretty simple card, but I think it's really beautiful. It doesn't need a lot of flash and bling, I don't think. I mean, you could put probably some twine or something like that to keep it in the masculine look, but I don't think it needs it. And then we'll do the inside, and I'll just put that in with some snail adhesive. And then we're done. Pretty simple. And I try to line up the corners and top and bottom, left and right, and there you go. So we've got two cards, and I think they're really nice, and they would make a great guy card. So let me know what you think, and come back and see what else I do with this folder. So I'm featuring it all week. Okay, thanks, and have a good day. Take care. Bye.